Here we are in Scratch. We have this cat thing and we want it to walk across the stage. I'm going to click on the cat. These are the scripts. We're going to go to events first, and when the flag is clicked, we're going to move the cat. Go to motion. I can tell it to move 10 steps when the flag is clicked. So let's try that. And that's it. So it just moved. If we want it to keep going, what we could do is we could tell it to repeat forever. So under control, I could tell it to repeat this forever. So move 10 steps. Okay, let's try that. And it just walks off the screen until it smacks into a wall. What we would like to do is to get it to bounce off of the wall. If on edge, bounce. Bounces upside down. That's a little bit strange. We can set the rotation style right here to left right. So let's try that. There we go. We set the rotation style to left right. I just moved it up here because we don't need to do it over and over and over again. Just need to do it once. And there we go. So it just bounces back and forth like that. One of the things that we could do is we could get it to say, when it gets to the left side of the screen, we could have it say left, and when it gets to the right side of the screen, have it say right. Let's try that. I'm just going to click on here, new sprites. I'm going to click on the paintbrush. I'm going to make a rectangle. What color will I make that rectangle? Let's say blue for the left side of the screen. I'm just going to draw a rectangle, solid, just like that. When we click outside of it, it appears on our stage. I'm just going to drag it way over to the left-hand side of the screen, like that. Drag it up to the top. It needs to be just a little tiny bit bigger. One of the things that we can do to make it a little bit bigger is we can click on the grow icon. Just click on it once, and there we go. And I'm just going to drag it a little further, just so it's off to the edge like that. I want to make another one like that. It's going to be red. New sprite. I'm going to draw a red one. I'm just going to pick red as my color in the center of the screen. Draw a big rectangle like that. You click outside of it and it appears on the screen, and then I'm going to drag it over here. It's a little bit short as well. I'm going to tell it to grow a little bit like that. Click on the cat, go into scripts. When we click on the cat, I'm going to click on control, and we're going to use an if. Now an if is going to make a decision. If something happens, we want it to do something. If it's touching red, it should say right. And if it's touching blue, it should say left. Click back on the cat to get into the script for the cat in sensing. Because you want to say if we're touching a color, so if the cat is touching a color, and I just drag that onto here till it turns white, and then I can let go and we'll put it in there. I'm going to click on the color, and when the cat is touching blue, we want it to say left. I'm going to go to sounds. I want it to play a sound. If I click on there and then tell it that I want to record a sound, I'm going to click the record button, click allow. It's recording. So I'm going to say left, 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 and I want to make sure that the microphone doesn't go really high there. So that's long for a sound, but we can edit the sound. So let's click. This left is pretty good. So I'm going to get rid of all of this. So I highlight it and then press delete, highlight and delete, and here's my left. So I'm going to name it left up here. L-E-F-T, left. Back into the cat, double click on the cat, go to scripts. We want it to play a sound left. Let's try that out and see what it does. Now we want it to say right when it hits this side. We can copy this. I can control, I'm hitting the control and then clicking. That's the same as right clicking. And I'm going to click duplicate. I'm just going to duplicate all of that code. Here, when it's touching not blue but red, and when we're touching red, we want it to play right. I'm going to go to record, right, right, right. I've recorded a few of them. I'm going to pick the one that sounds the best. Wow, that one looks pretty good. It doesn't cut off. I don't hit the top or anything like that. That's right. I can get rid of all of those and then play it. Good. Right. There it is down here. If we click on the cat and go back to scripts, we want it to play right. Then if we click the flag, that works perfectly. Now the only thing you might want to do, just to make this a bit more interesting, is have the words left and right appear when it's saying the sound left and right. I'm going to go and make a new sprite. It's going to be a text sprite. I'm going to write, it's in red, so I'm going to write right, R-I-G-H-T, like that. Click outside of it, there it is. So I'm going to put this, be very careful to click on one of the letters to get it to move. So I'm going to put right on the right side, and I'm going to come down here, click new sprite, change that to blue, text, and I'm going to write left. Click outside of it, and it appears, grab one of the letters, put it over here. When it gets to the left side of the screen, I want the left to appear, and I want the left to disappear when the cat gets more to the center. Let's go back to click on the cat, and back to the scripts. I'm going to make the left appear. Now the left is a sprite, just like the cat. So we can give it its own code. But what we'll have the cat do is we'll have it broadcast left. We're going to go to events, and we're going to broadcast a message. The message will be at left. I'm just going to duplicate that again. So duplicate down here. I'm going to broadcast at right. A new message at right. I would also like to broadcast when it gets to the center. To do that, I'm going to put an if in. If, we're going to look at the X position of the cat. If the X position, right now, if you look at the mouse here, the X position of the mouse in the center of the screen is at 0. If we go right to the center. As we come back here, it gets more negative until we get to the blue, and it's at negative 230. And the red is probably around positive 230. If the cat is between negative 100 and positive 100, then I'm going to say it's in the middle. I'm going to use an operator. I have to start with an and, because we're going to be looking at two things. If it's greater than negative 100, and if it's less than positive 100, then it's in the center. I'm going to use a greater than operator. You hover it until the left-hand side thing goes white. If the X position of the cat, if I double click on the cat, it says X position of cat. I can drag that over. If the X position of the cat is greater than this position right here, which is negative 165, I'm just going to duplicate all of this. Control duplicate, drag that until that goes white, and then I can drop it. Is less than positive 160, then it's in the middle. We're going to broadcast middle. I'm just going to duplicate that and bring that over here, and we're going to broadcast new message at middle. When it gets a broadcast, when left here, I'm just going to double click on the left. When I receive at left, I want it to show. Looks, we want it to show. But when it receives a message at middle, we want it to hide. Let's see what that looks like. We want it to show. Let's have it invisible at the beginning. We'll do the same with the right. Events. When I receive at right, we want it to show itself. We want the right to be hidden initially. There's the right, and then there's left. When it gets to the middle, we want these guys to disappear. Let's try that again. Duplicate that, or you can drag a new one out. I want it to hide when it receives at middle. That's for the right. For the left, when I receive at middle, I want it to hide. Let's run it. One other thing, you see the cat, you see how it's just kind of sliding along? We can get it to run. I don't know if you noticed before when we were in the costumes, if we click on the cat has two costumes. It has one where the legs are out and one where the legs are bent. So if we switch back and forth between them, we can get them to walk. Click and go back to scripts. We can have a variable. I'm going to make a variable, and I'm going to call this steps. Is it for all sprites or for this sprite only? I think we just need it for this sprite only. We have the steps. We're not going to show the steps. Are greater than 2. Let's switch to the other costume. There's a better if. Here, let's get rid of this for a second. I'm just going to drag this out. Let's get rid of this if. Let's go and get a better one. We have an if and else. If it's one thing, we do one thing. We're going to go to one costume. If it's the other, we're going to do something else. The steps are greater than 2. We're going to switch our costume. Let's go back to the cat. Let's look at the costumes for the cat. We have costume 1, costume 2. Back to the scripts. If it's greater than 2, we're going to go to costume 2. Or else, we're going to be costume 1. Let's see what that looks like. We're kind of stuck on costume 2. The reason why is we're increasing it by 1. Our steps, we're now at 333 steps. You see the problem? Once we switch to costume 2, we should reset our steps back to 0. Set steps to 0. Let's see if that works. Looks like it's limping. And it's going way too fast. So let's slow that down a bit. Let's say if it's greater than 5. Watch what happens if we exaggerate that a little bit. We're only getting a brief glimpse of it with the costume 2. If it's greater than 5, we'll do this. Let's remove the set steps to 0. I'll put in another if. If the steps are greater than 10, we'll set them back to 0. It's going to have equal time on the legs stretched out and equal time on the legs bent. Another if, but this time we don't need an if then. We're just going to say if the steps are greater than, duplicate that and bring that over here. So if the steps are greater than, let's say 10, set the steps to 0 again. When we set the steps back to 0, we come down here. Are the steps greater than 5? No. So that comes down to here, and we're on costume 1. So we're going to be on costume 1, provided that the steps are not greater than 5. For 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it'll be fine. Let's have a look at this. Now it's switching back and forth from one view to the next. And that's it for the program. We want to get rid of this thing. And data, just turn that off.
Right, left, right.